CNN, MSNBC, and the New York Times are working together tonight to push a new story about the Trump administration. At the top of the hour, MSNBC put on Maggie Haberman, CNN put on Michael Schmidt. Those two are both Times reporters, and they co-authored a piece in that newspaper saying that Donald Trump attempted to fire Robert Mueller in December. Mueller's still there, of course. The Mueller investigation, you'll remember, was officially created to uncover Russian hacking into the American democracy because they hacked our democracy. But that's not what it is anymore. It is now an all-purpose probe into the president, his personal and financial life. It's designed to make us feel safer. I hope you feel safer. Yesterday, FBI agents raided the office of Michael Cohen, that's the president's personal lawyer, apparently looking for evidence about payments to Stormy Daniels, the porn star who is not from Russia and who did not hack our election in any case. Over on MSNBC, Steve Schmidt noted that the men who wrote the Constitution would be thrilled by this. They always hated the Bill of Rights, those guys.
If you listen closely tonight, you can hear the faint applause from heaven of this country's founding fathers, who bequeathed to us a nation where the rule of law is supreme. We are a nation of laws.
Yeah, the founders wanted to know, did the money go to Stormy Daniels? What happened to Stormy Daniels? Jonathan Turley is professor at George Washington University School of Law, and he joins us tonight. So I think, Professor, you were one of the trustworthy people in this conversation. I don't even know what your politics are. I don't think we even agree politically, but whatever. I trust your legal views. What do you make of this raid on the president's lawyers' offices?
Well, part of this is of Cohen's making, in the sense that Cohen tends to blur his relationships between being a lawyer, a fixer, a friend,
That's true.
A business partner. That's dangerous under any circumstance, but it's particularly dangerous if you're going to invoke the attorney-client privilege, because first you have to prove that you're acting like an attorney. And he may have trouble with that. When you look at the Stormy Daniels agreement, it's still not clear what role he's playing there, whether he is this company he created, whether he's Trump's lawyer. That's going to come back to haunt him and haunt the president when they say some of this stuff should remain confidential. But I think the president's right in the sense that whenever you have a raid on an attorney's office, it should raise very troubling concerns for everyone. I mean, this is a serious problem when someone can't rely on their attorney.
So is the core potential violation here that the payments to Stormy Daniels, Miss Daniels we'll call her, were some form of campaign finance violation?
Well, actually, that is strengthening with some of the statements made publicly. When the president said, I didn't know anything about this payment, it sounds a lot like what's called an in-kind campaign contribution. And that's what John Edwards was charged with and prosecuted for. He ultimately was not convicted of that. But yes, they could make a case like that. But supposedly the warrant covers everything from Stormy Daniels to taxi medallions. And there's a lot in between.
Is there any indication that Stormy Daniels was working with Russian agents to influence the outcome of the election, that she was herself part of the hacking of our democracy?
Well, I'm not familiar with all of her movies, but no, I'm not familiar with
Okay,
that.
so I guess we can say that the nature of the investigation has changed profoundly.
Oh, absolutely. No, there's no question that this is far off the mark. So was Manafort. What's actually sort of fascinating about this is that Rod Rosenstein didn't have much of a problem when Mueller came to him and said, I want to expand Manafort's investigation to include stuff that occurred years before and were not connected to the campaign. Some of this stuff is actually closer, and yet Rosenstein said, I want the Southern District to do this.
Could Rosenstein have said, no, that's not the original charter of this. That's not the point of this investigation?
He could have, but it gets a little bit tough. If Mueller came to him and said, look, we actually have evidence of crime that we have uncovered, it's hard not to give that to a prosecutor to look at. But we don't know what was shown to Rod Rosenstein, and that's part of the problem.
So you would have to, I think what you're saying is you would have to be either dumb or an active drug user to allow an independent counsel investigation to start.
Well, I think that, look, this is one of those things where it's easy to unleash the dogs of war. It's harder to get them back.
Yeah, I know.
And a special counsel is a torpedo in the water, to use another metaphor, and he's still there. And what's interesting about this move is that they haven't just expanded the investigation, they've expanded the prosecutors. So now, even if the president moved against Rosenstein, moved against Mueller, it wouldn't necessarily stop what the Southern District is doing.
Jeez. Thank you for that. Professor Jonathan Turley, appreciate it. Democrats are gearing up for an impeachment push against the president. What's the point of that, and what will the outcome of it be, assuming they take back the House in the midterms? Brit Hume joins us next.